Thank you, Michael. Welcome, everybody. Just addressing the game from last week. Again, very disappointing to make as many mistakes as we did. Again, I fully credit Brigham Young, BYU, and Coach Mendenhall and their staff and team who played a hard-fought game and won and made plays down the stretch that made the difference in the game. And so the credit to them, and again, I did feel that throughout the game there were way too many. When you have 12 offensive penalties, it's you really put yourself behind the eight ball, and I felt just a lack of execution and poise or discipline to play with fewer penalties and to take care of the football were a major factor in us not being able to to give ourselves a better opportunity to win. In the end, those mistakes cost us, in a big way, and weren't able to overcome them. Also, the injuries that I know everybody's waiting to hear also are a factor in. Sam Bradford, as I addressed yesterday, it's a situation that hasn't changed today, and nor will it tomorrow. But all indications are that people that sustain an injury of this type, it generally takes 2 to 4 weeks to be back on the field. With his AC sprain, the rest of the joint, the rest of the the rotator cuff and everything else looks fine. So it's a situation that's what we anticipate, and just depends on soreness and how he heals, and I guess as everyone knows, all people heal differently, and all injuries are different. So we just have to see as time goes how that will heal and how that will improve. He's talked to a number of other quarterbacks who have had this injury that have come back and have been fine, once they've come back and throwing the football and continuing with their careers. And he's talked to, and we know of many NFL guys that have dealt with this, and he personally has spoke with Eli Manning, and Eli told him he was throwing the ball in 10 days and played 2 weeks later. That was the year they went on to win the Super Bowl. So we'll just see where that goes. Jermaine Gresham, who did not even enter the game due to a cartilage injury the week before the game, is going to have arthroscopic surgery this afternoon, and it is yet to be determined because the MRIs don't show damage. So what the scope will be able to tell us if whatever is making his knee lock, and when it locks, it could be some loose body in there that just can be removed and he can resume, or sometimes maybe the cartilage needs to be stitched together. So until they know that, we won't know. The possibility could be that there's a piece something that's loose in there that can be removed, and he'll be able to resume playing after a couple of weeks. But if they have to stitch and repair the cartilage, then that is a 5-month recovery, which would mean he would be out for the season. But his long-term health would be fine. It's nothing like ligaments, or all his ligaments, everything else looked great in his knee, so it would just be stitching the cartilage back together. So until they get in there and can determine that, the outcome of that will not be known until later this afternoon. And once we know, we will have a release on on what they found. Again, because it's pure speculation now, because none of that shows right now through 3 different MRIs. So until they're in there, you won't be able to tell. So we will move on. Going into this week with Idaho State, with Landry Jones and Drew Allen at quarterback, and I thought Landry in the game the other day really did a nice job. He needed to be supported in a better way by guys around him, but I thought as far as his execution, his demeanor, and the way he handled the situation, it was as good as you could expect, and even better. And so this team, our focus is moving forward with the guys that we have, to push forward and get ready to play this week and continue to improve and hopefully eliminate the things that are hurting us, that we hurt ourselves with just some penalties and foolish penalties and busted assignments, and just making it, hopefully practicing and getting ourselves prepared to have the poise and to not have penalties and to execute better when we have the opportunity. And that's what that's what we're trying to do here through practice.
So, Bob, you don't know that Jermaine Gresham is out for the year. That's still
no. It could be 2 weeks to the year, depending on what they find in there. And there's at this point, as I said, there is no indication of what it is. So but I'm sure once they have the scope and they get in there, they'll be able to see what needs to be done. And that's why it's taken a while as well, because there's nothing on the image that really shows what they need to do. So again, it's pure speculation of how long it'll be until they can find out what's causing it.
What were your thoughts of your wide receivers?
Brandon Caleb had a good game and played competitively, and Ryan Broyles played at we felt at a pretty good level and winning level. And outside of that, there was. That was about it.
Any changes?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not going to sit here and address changes, but we'll have other guys give other guys more opportunities, make it more competitive, and see who's going to show up and compete and make more plays, as well as in the offensive line.
Bob, you weren't in the game. You didn't take many shots downfield or stretch the field vertically, which you've done so well in the past. What were they doing to keep you?
Well, it's a little bit harder when it's 1st and 25 and 1st and 20 and 2nd and 20. When you're running game, when you're not in flow, those don't set up as well. So, it's what I said in our meeting. To the players, I said, when you run the ball for 7 yards or 8 yards on first down, and it's 1st and 10, now they don't know on 2nd down what's coming. But when they laugh at you when it's 1st and 25 and you run for 7 yards. Now it's 2nd and 18. It just changes the whole complexion of everything. So it takes you out of what you're trying to do.
Brody Elrich moved back to tight end.
Brody will play more at tight end, and we'll prepare him more that way, definitely with Jermaine out and now being able to prepare for the week. But again, a lot of that depends on to make sure that Ben is still in good shape there at center, and he played pretty well the other night. So that's a dilemma that we'll have to continue to work through.
Is that reflective of you really needing him out? Is the blocking out there more than you need? I mean, the blocking.
Yes, it's fair to say. He's valuable out there because of capturing edges and getting creases on the corner, where he's so effective. And he actually was mentioned as he and Brandon Caleb on offense as player, one of our players of the game. He had a really good game, even in at center. But so sure, he's a valuable piece wherever we play him, and it just depends on where we feel we need him.
Let me ask you, Bob. Your basketball coaches talk all the time about the science of scheduling. You had most of the top big schools in the country were playing at home against a rinky-dink school. Wouldn't it serve a coach better or a team better if you're playing somebody in the first game that isn't as good, you work things out?
Well, it's easy to second guess now. In the end, I said it last week, though. I said this is only advantageous if you win, and if you don't, then you're in this position. So you deal with it, you move forward, and I'm not second guessing it. I still feel there were a lot of instances the other night that at least you find out in these situations too, though, what areas you need to address and what needs to happen.
Bob, if you have to play an extended period without Sam, 4 or 5 weeks, how can you win with Landry Jones? What do you have to do to win with him at quarterback?
Well, I think first is support them better. The players around them need to play like they're capable of, and then with some discipline to play by the rules, and that would be the starter. And then from there, we got we feel that with Landry that our offensive style doesn't change. And again, it would be, I guess, with the limited experience, is be careful how much we do. I think, but still, we'll be able to do enough to hopefully keep people off balance and execute. But obviously, what Sam's able to handle as far as mentally and even through the series of repetition over 3 and 4 years is further along. So we just have to hopefully be smarter on what we're asking them to do.
Is the no huddle a part of that at all? Does
Well,
does no huddle affect Landry much? Or?
I don't think so. I think it affects everyone else, though, as in other words, if we're not executing or if we're continually having penalties because of the no huddle, then no, then it isn't any good. But if we can have some poise and handle it like we feel we're capable of, then I don't think, just as I said a year ago, I didn't feel the no huddle was the reason we were so successful, as well as I don't believe it's the reason we weren't very successful the other night. But it's a piece of it that's always considered.
Are you able to trace any of the struggles on the offensive line against BYU directly back to the no huddle then? Maybe, perhaps
No.
you can't. Okay.
I don't see that. Go ahead.
One of your linemen yesterday told us that you guys went back in practice and didn't scrap the no huddle, but basically went back to football 101, went back into the huddle, receiving signals from the sideline, huddling, speaking out, Landry shouting out the signal, and then everybody breaks and goes to the line. Is that going to continue, you think, throughout the season, or is it just going to have to progress and see how it goes?
Progress and see how it goes.
No way to know at this point.
No. And as we go through the week, we'll see how we want to handle it.
What did you think about your defense and who played well?
Who played well? Our Gerald McCoy had an excellent game and just played great in there. And Ryan Reynolds, those were the two guys that were kind of our players of the game. But, Travis Lewis had a really good game, and Keenan Clayton, a bunch of guys did. I thought, defense came up, we have 4 turnovers and played strong really, for a good part of the day, but it isn't good enough. We give up a deep pass at the end of the half they break we miss a couple tackles that leads to a long run at the end of the half. And that I felt, isn't necessary. It's simple. If they, execute, tackle, there's 2 guys to make a tackle that miss and let the guy run all the way down to near the goal line isn't good enough. And as well as we have a 16-play drive at the end of the game that we need to come up with a play. And didn't get it. So sometimes you got to win low scoring tight games or high scoring games, and you have to do what's necessary to win, and that's come up with the stop.